I cannot help but ask you, because you are a native speaker, and I chose for a reason the word project when I was coming up with the project framework. What does project as a noun and as a verb mean to you?
Project is the framework to achieve a goal, right? So it's how one makes something happen that they've set out, whether it's an idea, whether it's an initiative, whether it's an activity. The project is everything that's involved to achieve that. That's what project means to me. So the framework for achieving a goal. Projecting, I guess, on whether it's your voice, projecting a voice, whether it's an image, like a projector when you go to a movie cinema, but also for yourself. So projecting, leaping forward, jumping ahead into achieving that goal is how the verb would be used.
Thank you. You mentioned communication numerous times so far.
Yes.
And I personally find you a great communicator.
Thank you.
With all the channels, with all the content, it's really valuable to a very large audience, which is not easy.
Yeah.
To be that valuable to a diverse set of people. Now, how do you do that? What are your steps to communicate? What is communication to you? Let's start with that.
Yeah, communication is finding your voice, and that does not necessarily mean your audible voice. It can be writing, it can be drawing. There's so many beautiful, amazing, diverse ways to communicate. But I think communication to me is just finding your voice and then finding a medium to transmit your voice. The hardest part of it is knowing and valuing your voice. I often have this imposter syndrome, where I think, should I really be the person you're interviewing for this? Like, there are people who are better. Or when I'm on stage and like, should I really be shaking Obama's hand? Like, there are people who are better. So there's this imposter syndrome. But I think if you see life as just a constant learning curve, and that there is value to sharing what you know, I can only give you what I know right now. And when I start to find and hear my voice and value that voice, then the communication becomes easier. So for me, communication is just know your voice and find a way to transfer that voice.
And when you share so much out of your daily life in Instagram, this is mostly interesting probably to regular people like me and the rest, and maybe it's not your core target audience, being these event organizers. Doesn't this contradict, or you find it complementary?
Yeah, I think it's just about knowing what the purpose is, right? Instagram is just a platform to connect with my tribe, and it's a big tribe of anybody who wants to live a better life for themselves. And that's why it's quite diverse, and that's why it's quite basic, what I share. And then comes the more professional vlogs that we put out on Facebook and YouTube and Twitter and LinkedIn and all of those, where it's neatly edited. We do interviews with the speakers. We try to get their voice on what they're sharing, because what they share on stage is a little bit more complex and detailed, and what we get them to share on camera is a little bit more relatable. When I am working with Porsche and Daimler on the future of mobility, it's a different crowd than those ones I talk to at cybersecurity. It's a different crowd from the ones that I'm doing blockchain, say in Switzerland or Liechtenstein. It's different from the B2B businesses that I'm doing back in India. And so that's the narrowest of the crowds. So I think it's just knowing what that purpose is. So when I am on stage, I don't really share about me working out in the morning, because that's not important to them. But we get pretty deep on, say, regulation or new concepts and ideas. But when I'm on Instagram, I don't really talk about the details of an interview I had with someone on stage. We get to the tangible, relatable parts of how do we just live a better life. So it's just knowing what's the purpose of the medium and how do I communicate effectively on that one. Same guy though.
It's very impressive and humbling to see how you speak with all those big professionals, and you try to digest or declutter a little bit their message and make it easy to understand to a more massive audience. You care about all those people.
Yeah.
Why do you care so much about founders? What is it there for you?
I don't really care about what is there for me. I think I care about what is there for them. I think the reason I care about them is because I empathize. I am them. They are me. We are the same tribe. And so I know that it's lonely. I know that peer-to-peer learning is really the only way, because any book, any training module that is written is already outdated because the world is evolving that quickly. That I remember when I did workshops on bootstrapping, right? How do you build a business with no money? Honestly, I would have to update that list every workshop because the resources would keep changing and the avenues for where you get funding or where you build a website kept changing so rapidly. And so I think peer-to-peer learning is so important. I think knowing that you do have people that you can rely on is so important. And so for those reasons I create content, because I know that for a founder that has to do 100 things today and can practically only get to 10, the conversation of how does someone else who has 100 things to do prioritize? How do they manage their time? How do they take care of their own well-being so that they can give their best to that situation? How do they balance life and work? These are topics that matter to me, but I know it matters to them, which is why I create that content. So it's not really about how I benefit from it. It really is knowing that I have learned some things that have helped me hopefully have a lifetime of entrepreneurial thinking and doing. And I know for others, they want the same. So if there's anything little that I have learned, let me share that. If it makes them that much more successful, not just in the short term, but for the long term as well. But I'd be lying if I didn't say that I do benefit. It's not why I do it, but it is so validating when I get questions because it is nice to know that I'm doing something that is signaling to the world, I'm here for you. And when a total stranger goes, Dan, I've never met you, you don't know my name, but I'm struggling with this, can you help me? I'm like, yes, I have done enough to say I'm available, and that person's not alone. Like, why did not go to the friend or to the dad or mom? They're coming to me. That means there's enough of me out there to say, I'm a nice guy, I'm here for you. And that's validating. I love when people share stories. Yesterday, the 17-year-old in Dublin wrote me a beautiful message on Instagram saying, Dan, it's been a few years since I've seen you, but I want you to know that I'm so proud of you. I love seeing you going up and up and up. And it's nice to see someone celebrating someone else because I know when the time is right, I will go back and celebrate him and be like, I remember when he was 15 and he came to me at the event and he said, I want to do this, and now look where he is. So there is really nice reinforcement, but that is a byproduct. It is not the reason I'm doing it. I'm not doing it so I can screenshot these encouraging DMs, but it's nice when it does come to back.
Can you share more of these stories that are rewarding to you, something that you have heard out of your tribe?
Oh, so many. I think at this point I'm getting these kind of positive stories every single day, but it's also because I see the value of whatever they're bringing to me, right? So, for example, there's this Indian who met me about 14 or 15 months ago. I was visiting a friend of mine who had cancer. I had messaged, I was in this neighborhood. He said, Dan, can I come over? Let's go for a cup of coffee. What I did not know is that he had traveled almost an hour and a half just for a 30-minute cup of coffee. He asked me, what are the opportunities online? And he's not very educated, his English is not fantastic, but he was curious about this online world. And so I just shared a few things about how to do business online. And about 3 weeks ago, he just showed me that he had made his first million in rupees, but $1 million rupees, having no income before that, $1 million rupees in a period of 4 months, just applying these principles. And so for me, that was really validating. Now, having $1 million rupees sounds really cool, but I'm also excited about someone who is depressed, and often I understand that life is very challenging. And so when I had, there was someone who visited me a little while ago, no names, no context, because they probably watch this and they'll feel embarrassed, and I don't want to embarrass anybody, but he was going through a really hard time. And the fact that he was able to come spend time with me, that he was cheerful, we were working out together, that we were talking about the future, and there was this excitement about the opportunities, and knowing where he was, even just a few months ago, of I hate life, I don't see the point of living anymore, any conversation was I can't. And all of a sudden he's going like, well, what if I did this? And any advice about this? That transformation is just as exciting for me. So there are so many stories. Entrepreneurs as well who pitch ideas, and it's okay that they pivot because it's necessary, but they will connect the dots and come back to me and it's like, Dan, we killed it at this demo day, but I remember the conversation we had 2 weeks ago, or 2 years, not 2 weeks ago, but 2 years ago, and I was just a college student, or I was in the day job, and I didn't trust myself. And the fact that you asked me questions made me more curious. And that's all it is. Sometimes it's just that little encouragement along the way.
A little sunshine coming in.
A little sunshine coming in. So, yeah, I mean, I am so delighted, not because of anything special that I'm giving out, but I just love that I've connected now with this tribe all over the world. That whether it's moms, whether it's dads, whether it's kids, whether it's people with jobs, people who are unemployed, whether it's people who are mentally okay or mentally not, whether it is people that are living in a world of abundance or living in a world of limitation, I love these stories of everyday people stepping out and just doing better for themselves.
So what would be your advice to all those people wanting to start something? How to communicate it?
How to communicate it? First, don't be afraid that someone's going to steal your idea. I get this all the time of like, I cannot talk to someone because they're going to steal my idea. I just don't see the point in that. I'll give you 2 reasons why you should kill that thinking. First of all, nobody cares. Everybody's really, I find, people are focused on what they're doing. So just because you share an idea doesn't mean they're going to forget their whole life, their whole goals, their whole objectives to chase yours. That's the first reason. The second reason is if you're afraid that they will run with it and they'll succeed, it means that you're not the right person for it. And if you really care about the idea, maybe you should let them do it. But if you are afraid that they're better than you, then they probably are better than you, which makes you the wrong person to do it. But if you have the confidence of like, they can find out, but they still can't beat me at it. I still have access to things they don't, I still know better, then share it. Because the best scenario is way better than these 2 scenarios I just pointed out. And the best scenario is you find partners, you find collaborators, you find people to hold you accountable to pursuing your dreams, you find people that can help you build it. So don't be afraid to share your idea. Start talking about what you are excited about. Start talking about what you're passionate about. Every business of mine that I've built has only happened because of casual conversations. Not boardroom meetings only, not investor pitches only, those are necessary too, but it's everyday conversations. One of my favorite stories about communication is how I got Microsoft, to help me on a pet project that I was doing in India. And the way that happened was a conversation with a lady at church. So normal, so basic. But I was a full-time student doing my MBA, and I saw a choir performing in the mall. And I thought to myself, I would love to bring the magic of music at Christmas time to India. Because in India, Christmas is very private. Churches, people's houses, but not in a shopping center, not in a mall. And so I thought to myself, I will perform and sing, and my friend will give a motivational talk. It's really simple, basic idea. But when I was just sitting next to a stranger in church. It was the first time I went to that church. I'd never been there before. And she said, hi, who are you? I said, I'm Dad, what do you do? I said, I'm a student, and I started sharing the idea. I wasn't afraid about someone stealing it. I was like, I want to throw a party, a Christmas party in India. And immediately she said, wow, tell me more. And so I told her a little bit more, I want to do some music. And she said, okay, if you're performing, do you have some visual stuff behind you? And I said, no, I hadn't thought about that. I'm just going to sing, and that's it. And then she said, okay, let me think about it. And I just left. I didn't even find out where she worked. I didn't even know who she was. And then she called me about a week later saying, Dad, I was just so excited thinking about your performance, and can you come meet me? And I said, okay, let's meet. And I was like, exactly. I was like, do you want to go to coffee? So I said, come to my office. I was like, office? I didn't even know she worked. And so, I mean, she's maybe in her 40s, so I just assumed she was a mom. She very gentle, very sweet. So I was just like,
those prejudices and perceptions.
Exactly.
I just assumed.
Don't judge a book by its cover, right? And like the cover was saying one thing, but there was someone else underneath. And she's like, come to my office. Where's your office? Microsoft headquarters. I'm like, okay. I came along and then I realized that she is a major director for this Azure technology, but she had all these team, and she's like, we would like to help you. On what? My idea is so little at that point. But what I did not know is that this little idea of a one-day event would become a 6-day event. The one-day act that was me would become a 300-person act, including the winners of India's Got Talent. That instead of one room, we were going to rent out an entire shopping center. And that instead of 100 people, which is what I was expecting, we would have 300,000 people that came to the event. I did not know that 3 months earlier, but in 3 months, it grew.
This is insane.
And then I had all of it by communication. No social media marketing, no budget of any sort, just me talking to people. But how do you get the winners of India's Got Talent unless you share with some musician, I've got this idea. And that some musician knows another musician who knows the manager of India's Got Talent winner. Or how do you get Microsoft to be a partner for free? Because of some conversation you have in church with a sweet lady who happens to be the director of a big department within Microsoft. How do you get airlines to fly your participants for free? Because of a conversation over barbecue. All of this stuff I'm sharing are normal, everyday conversations. But if I had hidden my idea, if I didn't value my idea, if I tried to protect my idea, none of that could have happened. And money could not have bought all that stuff because that stuff is way too expensive for a college student. So that is the power of communication. Don't be afraid to speak and use every opportunity. You don't even have to have a microphone and a podcast. Have the next time you're talking to someone in the restaurant, the next time you're riding some public transport. You don't know who you're sitting next to. People are so special and powerful, and you don't know who's going to come alongside you. So, communicate.
Wow. If we can summarize it, are these the successful ingredients with which you steer your success soup, if we can call it that way? So you have your values.
Yes.
Your own culture.
Yes.
You validate that, you know it,
yes.
You acknowledge it, and then you communicate with
yes.
every single person,
yes.
regardless of their position in life or in job.
So, the one thing I will say, because maybe some people are watching this and they're like, oh, Dan has a good American accent and he communicates and he also studied a lot, so I can't do this. I want to say that what's true for me does not have to be true for you. So whenever people ask for like a formula for success, I don't think there is one absolute formula that's applicable to everybody. What success is for me is not success for you. Because our priorities are different, our values are different. I think the ultimate formula for success is to be the truest version of yourself. And frameworks, like the project framework, are a way to discover what are the things in there that you are stronger at. And the parts that you're weaker at doesn't mean that you won't be successful. Just find those people that are stronger there. And then together, you are a team that just cannot be beaten, right? So I am really good at kind of coming up with stuff on the spot, like these answers, but you're really good at preparing it and sending it in a Google Drive and saying, this is how we're going to frame. But this combination would not work if we were not different. If we were both like, oh, I'll just make up questions and I'll just come up with answers, we'll be everywhere in our conversation.
Right.
And so for anyone that's listening or watching and is concerned on like, I cannot take off culture and communication and performance and all of this stuff, it's okay. Find what you are strong at and identify what you're weak at. And then just find people for who your weaknesses are their strengths. And that's how you build a good team. So, ultimate equation for success, figure out who you are. Culture is a core part of who I am. This diverse way of growing up is special to me and I'm using it to its fullest. Communication, from the time I was a kid, whether it's in church or in school, because I was bad at communication, I worked really hard at it. And because I worked doubly as hard, I just got doubly better than everyone who took it for granted. And so for me, communication became a big part of my growth, but only now in the last 2 years have I found out that this combination is amazing in this capacity. So it's only when you look through the rearview mirror. So don't be afraid to look through the rearview mirror of your life and say, what are things that I was effortless at? What are things that came naturally to me? What are things I really enjoyed? List those things down, compare it to something like this kind of framework, and then find co-founders, find team members for who the other things that you cannot take off is strong for them. And that's it.
And because you said you always try to be better than your current self,
yes.
What are you busy with now? What's your next big thing?
So I'm the eternal entrepreneur, which means that I have multiple hats that I'm wearing and I'm always trying different things. This whole concept, like you throw things on the wall and you see what sticks, right? And so today we're shooting some travel vlogs. I have shot event vlogs, I've shot vlogs on different topics, but like maybe I could try something a little bit more general, something that maybe a larger audience who's just curious about Munich would enjoy. Just trying it, we'll see if it works. I also want to see if I can make it into television and the live side of television with an audience. So this is a big jump from events but there's core skills at both of how do you deal with an audience, how do you interview people. So that is something that I'm trying to understand the model of how one gets into like late night show TV hosting. There are also things on the business side. One of the things is I like that you stay in touch, you send updates. I can't count how many amazing people I work with and I interact with, but I don't have a smart system for remembering. So because we have communicator and social media, right before coming here, I quickly flicked through the Instagram and I was just like kind of remembering, okay, here are the different moments that we interacted. But it's got to be a smart way to do that. Because when I go on LinkedIn, I can see your professional background, but I can't see the moments that you and I had.
Right.
You know, the specific places, conversations, things we talked about. Because I'm creating social content, I do see it and I go like, oh, that's what we talked about last time. But I'd like to build something in that space around how do you not go wider with your network, which is what Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, all of those is measuring the breadth of your network. I want to go into the depth of the network. So am I building on this friendship? And us having this longer conversation is a bigger step in our friendship than the last time we interacted at an event where we hung out for about 10 or 15 minutes.
Right.
And we did shoot some content, which was more than the previous time when it was just a message here and a message there. So it's all about building in that friendship. Now, who knows, maybe the next time we hang out, we'll be running a workshop together for a big client. You know, that's how you build into a friendship. So that's another thing that I'm spinning on. So there are always multiple things that I'm working on. But because of the context of when we're shooting this right now, which is the coronavirus, which is ruining the event industry among many others, that is not an excuse or a time to go cry and be like, oh, my dream job of being an event organizer and MC is ruined. What I'm thinking about right now is when the coronavirus goes, which it will, when the event business comes back up again, which it will, how can I be the best version of myself? So I've already started thinking about books to read because I don't normally read books. So this is a new challenge for myself. I'm thinking about physically, how can I transform? So not just have what I've had for the last 2 years, but can I go to the next level? I'm really happy who I am now, but if I've got this time, why not push myself to the next level in a way that I can't when I'm constantly traveling? I'm thinking about also the watch later playlist that I have on YouTube that of all these like amazing interviews, Oprah's on this amazing tour. I want to see how this legend interviews long form, right? She's doing these 1 hour interviews. That's so different from the 2 to 3 minutes world of social media that I'm in. So there's all this stuff I wanted to watch that I finally now have the time to. So even things that I am decent at, like fitness and social media content and interviewing, I'm like, how do I do better? How do I do more?
I think this is a great end to this interview. Every person thinking about building something should start first.
Yes.
And then try to be better with each step.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Excellent. That was great.
You think?
You're so good at this.